Hey folks, welcome to San Jose for Galaxy Unpacked. I'm Miriam Joar with Hot Hardware, and I've got the new Galaxy S24, S24 Plus, and S24 Ultra. Let's dive in. So this here is the Galaxy S24 regular, and this is basically the $799 model. And the first thing you'll notice is flat edges this year. That's a big change. So in the past, they were slightly rounded, and because of that, it's pretty much like one dynamic island and one camera pod away from an iPhone in terms of design. But that's not a bad thing because it does feel great in hand. And they've made the screen a little bigger, 6.2 inches instead of 6.1 inch. It's still 1080p, LTPO up to 120 Hertz. That's all still tons of goodness. Cameras are identical to last year, but there's a lot of AI going on and a lot of processing differences. And so we still have a main camera, a 3x telephoto, and an ultra wide. The main is 50 and the other two are 12 megapixel. Of course, optical image stabilization, all that good stuff. The other big difference with this regular phone is the battery is a little bigger, from 3,900 to 4,000 milliamp hour. Still have 25 watt wired charging and 15 watt wireless charging. But yeah, basically, this is a mild update. Of course, Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, all three phones are 8 Gen 3 in North America. The Ultra is 8 Gen 3 as well, but the other ones are Exynos in the rest of the world. All right, so that's the regular. Let's talk to you about the Plus. The Plus is a little closer now to the Ultra in terms of specs. $999, but we get a Quad HD display now instead of a 1080p display. Smaller bezels on all three phones. This is still LTPO. This is still a 120 Hertz display. So camera-wise, identical. We've got the main camera at 50 megapixel, ultra wide and 3x at 12 megapixel, optical image stabilization. You got those flat sides, as I said before, close to the iPhone. And yeah, now in terms of storage and RAM, this starts at 12 gigabyte across the board, whereas the regular one here is only 8 gigabytes across the board. Storage-wise, you get 128 or 256 on the base model, and on the Plus, you get 256 or 512 gigs. This also charges a little faster at 45 watt wired. And finally, the battery in here is now 200 milliamp hour bigger, from 4,700 to 4,900 milliamp hours. So that's actually a big improvement. We're almost at the same battery size as the Ultra, which for this phone, for this size, this is a 6.7 inch display. It's gonna give you really good battery life, especially with Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. So that's it for the base models and the Plus. Let's talk about the big guy, the kitchen sink of phones, the Note, the Galaxy S24 Ultra. This has the S Pen. This is the one feature that sets this apart from any other flagship. iPhone 15 Pro Max, Oppo Find X7 Ultra, all the big players. This is the phone that sets it all apart. And there's some important changes this year. First of all, we get a titanium frame. And as you can see, it doesn't seem to pick up fingerprints as much as, say, the iPhone 15 Pro Max does. I'm surprised about that. Millimeter wave antenna, you get the power lock key and volume rocker, get the assortment of ports down here, and of course the S Pen silo here. And the camera system has been slightly improved. We now have a 200 megapixel main that has not changed with OIS. We have a 3x telephoto at 12 megapixels, also not changed. The big difference, instead of a 10x telephoto, we have a 50 megapixel 5x telephoto that kind of brings you all the way out to that 100 times zoom. So actually that's big news, because here's the thing. When you're zooming, right, if you're zooming 1x, 2x, you're still on the main sensor. 3x, you have that telephoto for. But when you were going from 3x to 10x before, at 5x, 7x, you weren't doing so well. So now with a 5x telephoto at 50 megapixel, you can get 10x zoom by cropping that 50 megapixel sensor down to 12. And then you can go beyond that. So basically you're adding essentially an extra step in here at 5x. And I think that's what this phone is going to be great about, is you're going to get this incredible camera experience, plus all the AI features of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 and that Samsung's been putting in there. Remember that a lot of the algorithms for processing the images now happen closer to the sensor. So I'm actually excited about the fact that they dropped from 10x to 5x on that telephoto and made the sensor bigger, because it's going to give us more flexibility. But other than that, you still have a 6.8-inch display, still LTPO, still Quad HD, still 120 hertz, variable. You still have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, 45-watt charging. The price has gone up by $100. Instead of $11.99 last year, it's $12.99 this year. So yes, you're going to pay a little more for the kitchen sink of phones, the phones that does it all, the phone with a pen, the phone with the crazy cameras, and a phone that you can, unlike others, walk into any carrier store in the US and buy. So if that's what you're looking for, this is it. This is the best Android phone you can get in North America right now. One big cosmetic change other than titanium is that, look at this, there's no more rounded edges on display. It's perfectly flat this year. So that is a big change, because this is the first, Ultra or Note-like phone from Samsung I can think of in recent years that is 100% flat screen. So one last thing, of course, all three phones have an in-display fingerprint sensor. In terms of storage and RAM, this comes with 12 gigs of RAM and either 256, 512, or 1 terabyte of storage. So there you have it, folks. A quick look at the S24 base model, the S24 Plus, and the S24 Ultra. Stay tuned for more videos on hot hardware soon, and see you next time.